We have an update for you this morning. Tin Roof, the bar and restaurant in St. Matthews, is responding to a lawsuit they're named in that accuses former LMPD officer Brett Hankison of sexual assault. The lawsuit says Hankison was working security for that location in 2018 when he gave a woman a ride home, then sexually assaulted her. The lawsuit argues Hankison has a pattern of assaulting women. In a statement, Tin Roof says they would never deliberately put the safety of patrons at risk, especially by those contracted to serve and protect. And, quote, we terminated our relationship with Officer Hankison in the spring and currently use internal security staff only. We find the allegations to be reprehensible, and our company does not tolerate abuse of power or discrimination in any form. An LMPD officer and another driver are recovering this morning after they crashed last night. The officer is expected to be okay, but the other driver is seriously hurt. It happened around 10 o'clock on the Greenbelt Highway at Bethany Lane. Police say the other driver was making a left turn with their truck, but the officer crashed into that vehicle. The officer was off duty at the time. Both were taken to University Hospital. We're definitely looking at some chilly weather, definitely completely different than earlier this week. Let's go to meteorologist Caitlin Fisher. What we can expect today, Kate?
Can we just keep Celine going?
I know.
Such a pleasant way to get our morning started.
Calls for a civilian review board and more accountability from Louisville Metro Police continue, but the Metro Council's pace on the issue is causing concern. Another story I want to tell you about this morning, letters from World War II sealed in a canister for 7 decades. The love story of Sam and Mary Swan is one for the history books.
Melissa wrote about her experience for the Fraser Museum, so you can actually read excerpts from those letters right now there and at WHAS11.com.
Just completely in awe. And I love how Melissa's mom said, they're boring, but really they were intensely personal.
Yeah, they just didn't want them to be read.
Such like a mom thing to say.
Totally. The Center for Women and Families held a fundraiser last month for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The goal, to raise $60,000.
This is such an amazing organization, and thanks to everyone who donated, they absolutely crushed that goal. After adding up all of the donations, the Everyday Advocate fundraiser raised more than $93,000, and that was just in 1 week. In total, during the month-long campaign, the center raised more than $110,000. All of the money will help victims and survivors of intimate partner and sexual violence. Jeffersonville's holiday open house will be 3 days this year. They extended it this year so people will have more space. It starts today, it goes through Saturday. 18 different small businesses are participating, and they'll all be decked out in holiday decor. It goes from 11 to 9 today on Spring Street. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris is making history with the presidential election, breaking barriers that have been in place for centuries. So no matter your political party or who you voted for, this election is historic. And for plenty of people, it's about more than politics.
We're all inspired. We're all ready to go. We're all ready to work harder.
Christy McCravey is the president of the Eta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in Louisville. She says she remembers exactly where she was when she heard the news about the presidential election.
Based on what we are seeing there, we can say that Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. is on track to become the 46th president of the United States.
This is funny. We were in the middle of a chapter meeting.
And how did that meeting go after that?
Oh my gosh, we were so excited.
Excited to see Kamala Harris become vice president-elect. She is the first woman elected to that position, the first black person, and the first South Asian American. Vice President-elect Harris is also an AKA.
How does breaking barriers really resonate with Alpha Kappa Alpha?
Alpha Kappa Alpha is used to being the first. Our founders were just one generation from slavery. They did not hold back. They were bold.
The history of Alpha Kappa Alpha dates back to 1908. That's when the sorority was founded at Howard University, one of the historically black colleges and universities, and also Harris's alma mater.
I see the acolyte, the pink and green, reign supreme. Step, step, Alpha Kappa Alpha.
McCravey says her sorority, along with the other organizations within the Divine Nine, is all about unity and showing people what's possible. She says this election is proof.
We have primarily been led by white men for centuries, but now to actually break that glass ceiling and to become the vice president-elect for the country speaks volumes.
And it sends a message to little girls.
Why not at the top?
If you see it, you can be it.
Why not in the White House?
Alpha Kappa Alpha is a nonpartisan organization. They do not tell people who to vote for, but they did work to make sure people voted. The best country artists in the business had their big night last night. They did have some people in the audience, but it was extremely scaled back because of COVID-19. So out of all of the great moments from the show, this is the one people couldn't get enough of online.
If there's one thing that she don't need, it's another little hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto.
Such a great duet there. The CMAs had to make some changes to their performance lineup after Lee Brice and Tyler Hubbard from Florida Georgia Line tested positive and had to drop out. Eric Church was the big winner last night. He walked away with Entertainer of the Year. Maren Morris went home with 3 big awards, including Female Vocalist of the Year. Luke Combs brought home the top prize for Male Vocalist. So many things about the holidays are going to be different this year, and it's going to be tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, just look at how the Christmas tree in downtown Cincinnati has taken it. Hopefully looks a little more impressive by then.
Yeah, a little less struggle on that tree. Most of us are probably still looking for Christmas gifts, so Red Lobster wants to help you out. They're selling gift boxes full of their Cheddar Bay biscuits. We really aren't sure how long it will last under the tree, but maybe it won't last very long anyway. Just eat them. Janet is not worried about it. She says she's down to get them as her gift. Desiree says she got a similar thing for Valentine's Day and gave it to her boyfriend. If you want to grab a basket, they go on sale Monday. I like Red Lobster's biscuits. I used to go there in college and, order one drink, get the free biscuits, out.
That's such a smart move. Wow. Well, if you combine that with the KFC chicken log, I mean, you could just get some great smells going
a whole
on in your
meal.
house. All right, here's what's coming up at 6.
As protesting continues into another week, we are seeing people march with their children and start to teach them about racism. And for parents that I talked to, they say that they knew they'd have to have this conversation. They just thought they had more time. Signs like these are scattered around Jefferson Square Park and spray painted on plywood in neighborhoods. And as we continue to see more messages, this one stands out. Maybe it's the pink letters or the glittery border, but it's mainly the person who wrote it, a 6-year-old girl. So tell me about your sign, Una.
I don't want my dad to be dead.
What made you make the sign?
We saw a picture.
Images like this of George Floyd saying, "I can't breathe," as a police officer kneeled on his neck for nearly 9 minutes, or of Ahmaud Arbery attacked while jogging down the street. And the protesting against police brutality and racial discrimination is forcing parents to have serious conversations with their children.
When she chose that as her sign, part of me was like, oh, I don't know, because it's so harsh, but it's the truth. I knew it would come up. At 6 years old, I didn't think it would happen now.
Natalie White is another mom. She started talking to her 16-year-old daughter and 10-year-old son 2 years ago about what it means to be black.
He doesn't understand why he might need to change a little bit or maybe smile when he speaks because he can be seen as something that he's not.
As a black mom, what are your fears?
It is my absolute fear that for everything that I've gone through, for everything that I've taught him, that it won't be enough.
They want their kids to maintain their childhood innocence while being aware of what's going on.
Your shirt's pretty.
Do you like this shirt?
Yes.
I like your dress better, even at 6 years old. Tell me about your dad. How much do you love him?
My 1,000 billion.
During the civil rights movement, men and women marched across the country fighting for equal rights for African Americans. More than 50 years later, people are doing the same thing.
We, the black people of this city, want all of our freedom.
Those in our area who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. are now sitting with protesters, whether it's on their front porch.
They have picked up where we left off.
At Jefferson Square Park.
It's time that everybody is treated the same.
Or in a motorized wheelchair.
I want lesson learned.
They say the fight is the same.
There is no difference. We were fighting for justice. We were fighting to be treated right.
What do you want to see changed?
I want to see it all changed. I want all of it to change. Oh, freedom.
They want to see the end of systemic racism in police departments where black people are more likely to be killed by police, even though they are more likely to be unarmed.
Over me.
In schools where students of color are suspended at disproportionately higher rates than white
I'll
students.
be buried in my
And in the
grave.
justice system where African Americans are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of white people.
No justice! No peace!
I don't want this to happen again. It's just time now. This is the moment. If we don't get it right now, I don't know if we ever will.
So their legs may not be what they used to be,
And go home
but their
to
fighting
my
spirit
Lord
remains strong.
and be free.
The older generation, as they call themselves, are planning a sit-in. That way they can show their support for protesters. They are planning to do that next weekend. When we get details, we will definitely share them with you all. Reporting live in downtown Louisville, Kristin Pierce, WHAS 11 News.